Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today it's going to be a little bit different. I typically don't do book hauls. I don't bulk buy my books very often, and I have been trying to put in a conscious effort of being conscious of the books I buy. um, with the exception of my subscription books, the only books I've really bought this year as such have been sort of like specific targeted buys. For the most part, obviously, I've slipped now and then. However, today I went to the bookstore with specific goal in mind, and that was to buy a whole bunch of books. And with the exception of the first two, which I'll show you, I didn't have any specific books in mind. My goal was to browse books and buy books, and that was it. This was made possible by my really lovely colleagues at my old job. As part of my leaving gift, they were so beyond incredibly generous and gifted me quite a lot of book tokens. If I let you know that by the end of this haul, once you've seen all of the books, just be aware, I paid £12. That was it. There's 12 books. When I say they were generous, they were very, very generous with the book tokens. So this haul, this is specifically to say thank you. Thank you guys for, absolutely blowing this out the park. Like, you blew me away with, your generosity. I was not expecting this. But now you guys get to see what you guys bought me with the book tokens. So the first two books that I bought, we'll just get into it now. The first two books were volumes 2 and 3 of Heaven Official's Blessing. Heaven Official's Blessing, basically, it is Heaven Officials is the third series by MXTX, and it basically follows Julien, who is a god who has ascended to godhood for the third time because he keeps messing up and being kicked out. And Hua Cheng, who is one of the Ghost Kings. And it is following their story of how they meet and how they come together. Also exploring their pasts and how their pasts are maybe not quite as unconnected as you might think. And that is probably the most succinct and put together description of these books I have ever given, so go me. But yeah, these were the only two I went in going, okay, I'm going to get those. I've read volume 2, I'm now moving on to volume 3, and it means I'll be able to give Zoe back her copies of volume 2 and 3. But yeah, moving on to the rest of the books. So the first one, this was definitely a cover buy, because your girl is obsessed with sprayed edges, and I have a problem. And look at those sprayed edges. Look how pretty they are. They're feathers, and it's blue, and it's so, so pretty. But this is Unraveler by Francis Hardinge. I'm really struggling to say this name. I'm finding it a really hard name to say. But this is basically the book about the story of a girl who, when she was younger, was cursed to spend life as a bird. However, is basically saved from this fate. I'm going to close my laptop so we're not getting quite as much glare. She's saved from this fate by Kellen, who is an Unraveler. Kellen's powers, however, at the time of the story begins, his powers are starting to really become unstable and unravel a wee bit. I'm going to say unravel way too many times. And that is kind of threatening the stability of everything. It's supposed to be a little bit dark, twisted, maybe a wee bit gothic-y. Does sound really interesting, but honestly, guys, it was a cover buy. For the most part, this was a cover buy. It's what I do. So the next one, I kind of hammed and hawed about this one a little bit, because it's definitely not my normal pick. However, it's signed by the author, which kind of swayed it. And, since I did have tokens. But that is The Booksellers of Inesse by S.G. McLean. This is set just a few years after Culloden, where one of the survivors, Ian, is now running a bookstore in Inverness. One day, this stranger comes into his bookstore, really like searching, fervently looking for something, acting kind of sus. But Ian doesn't really figure anything out, doesn't really respond to any chit chat or whatnot. So the stranger goes on his way, but the next day the stranger's found dead. And so Ian is sort of like dragged into the mystery of what happened. I think it'll be fun and interesting to read about Inverness, see how many places I recognise. Did they get the geography right? We'll see. The author was actually up in the area recently, but I only found out today, so. But I still got a signed copy, which is cool. The next one, I'm gonna put things like that. So I just did a video about all the non-fiction that I'm not going to get round to anytime soon. So I bought another bit of non-fiction. Because why not? But it is called A Squirrel of Squirrels. It reminds me a lot of the way, I had a quick glance at sort of like the writing style, and it reminds me a lot of Soul of the Octopus, which I really enjoyed and is probably one of my favourite non-fictions out there. But this is basically Polly Puller, the author, is a wildlife rehabilitator, and this is basically her telling us about squirrels, about this current state of the population, gives us a bit about the biology and also the history of the squirrels and how the state of conservation came to be as it is. Because the red squirrel, which is one of the most beloved animals in the country, it's currently being driven to extinction. The population is being overtaken by the grey squirrels, because the grey squirrels red squirrels are native, grey squirrels are actually an invasive species, and they bring with them I think all manner of disease and things, which they're okay with, but our beloved red squirrel has no defences against. So yeah. This is written by Polly, it's told first person, so I think we're going to get a lot of like her own personal story coming into it as well, and that's like my key point with non-fiction. We're bringing the personal to the science and the nature, and that's what I love reading. So yeah, got that one. Then I got Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood is an author for me. This is her latest release. It was only released this week or last week. It's a very, very new release. This one is being marketed as a YA, though I did find it in the adult section. Probably just because it's Ali Hazelwood. This is her first YA. But it's basically rivals to lovers set against the backdrop of a chess tournament. So that's all I really know. That's all I need to know. All I need to know is that it's Ali Hazelwood. She's one of my favourite romance writers, okay? That's just how it goes. Then I got The Book Eaters by Sun Yidin. This follows a group of people known as book eaters. They exist on the front there. They basically, in order to survive, they need to consume books and stories. Kind of a bit like literary vampires is what I'm getting from them. But alongside them, there are those who, in order to survive, need to consume the souls of actual people. Hence why I'm really getting literary vampire feels from them. But this is basically following specifically the story of a mother whose son is unfortunately one of these soul eaters, and this is her fighting to protect him and his right to survive. Because the more souls he consumes, the more humanity he loses. So this is her really fighting to protect and save her son. It's giving me the same sort of feeling vibes that The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep gave me. I'm not sure why beyond books are involved. But I really, really enjoyed The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep, so I'm really hoping that I will enjoy the book years as well. What I will say is the book itself is thinner than I was expecting. I've actually been waiting for this to come out on paperback, because I kind of had my eye on it since it came out in hardback. But then I opened it, and look how tiny the writing is. Look how tiny that writing is. So, yeah, definitely not as short as it looks from the outside. Okay, so the next one. This one, I am kind of excited about it, but I'm not gonna lie. This was a FOMO buy. This is everybody has been talking about this. I think the second one has just come out recently, but apparently, it just feels like everybody on BookTube has read this book. Exactly, Maisie. I don't know if you can hear her in the background. And I'm just like, damn it, guys! I just want to read it. Because everybody's reading it now. I want to read it. And that is Her Majesty's Royal Coven. This is basically, my understanding of this is it is basically, you have the government, and then we kind of have like this secret government, secret cabinet, made up of witches, I think. And they're basically dealing with all of the supernatural issues and protecting the crown from anything supernatural or preternatural. There's a prophecy involved, and things are looking kind of end of worldish. But that's kind of all I got. Modern day secret cabinet. Possibly getting Discovery of Witches vibes, maybe? But more contemporary, maybe? I don't know. I'm not 100% certain when I'll get to this one. This is one I'm either going to pick up pretty soon or it's going to sit on my bookshelf for quite a while. I'm not 100% certain. But yeah, mostly this was a FOMO buy. It helped it was on buy one, get one half price. Right, the next one. This one I am really excited about, and I actually think I might end up taking this one to New York with me. Which is only a week away, guys. What the hell? But that is A Fine and Private Place by Peter S. Beagle. All of Peter S. Beagle's works are currently in the process of being republished, which I find so exciting. For anyone who isn't sure, Peter S. Beagle wrote The Last Unicorn, which was one of my favourite films growing up. It is one of the finest pieces of fantasy literature you will come across. I actually have 2 copies of the Last Unicorn, because it's just so good. But A Fine and Private Place is basically about our protagonist Jonathan. He's homeless, he's bankrupt, and he goes, you know what, I'm gonna go live in the cemetery. Which sounds super lonely, but in fact is not, because Jonathan can talk to ghosts. And whilst he's there, there are 2 new residents who are Michael and Laura, and we are following Jonathan as he sort of becomes really invested in Michael and Laura's story, and as he watches Michael and Laura slowly fall in love. But there is some mystery surrounding Michael's death, and at one point a widow, I think Michael's widow, appears, so it gets a bit messy there a little bit. But yeah, honestly guys, it's Peter S. Beagle, and it's a really pretty cover. So I couldn't not buy it when I saw it on the shelf, could I? Right? But yeah, I think there's a really good chance I'll end up taking this one to New York with me, because it feels really sweet. It feels, it's going to be so beautifully written because it's Peter S. Beagle and he can't write a bad book. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. 3 more to go. We're almost there. So next up, I got Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This will be my 3rd V.E. Schwab, and I think this might be the book that really makes me decide how I feel about V.E. Schwab as a writer. So I read The Near Witch, which I often refer to as a near miss for me. It wasn't a bad book, it was just kind of really meh. I really about it. Excuse me. I then, The Near Miss was a YA, and I think it was her debut novel. So obviously her writing has probably come on leaps and bounds. And then last year I read Adi LaRue, which I really enjoyed. It wasn't like my favourite book of the year, but like it was definitely a really good read, and it rekindled my hope for V.E. Schwab. Let's put it that way. So yeah, so I think I'm ready to try again. You know, really figure out how I feel about her as an author. So I picked up Vicious, and this is basically the story of two roommates, who kind of accidentally discovered the secret of superpowers, I think. But as time goes on, one kind of turns good, one turns evil, one gets arrested. Now one's being released from prison and is out to take revenge or vengeance on the other. That's all I got. This is my Let's Give V.E. Schwab Another Try book. Okay, next up is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laura Gilmore. This is basically a Hallmark movie in a book. It is a small town romance. Our main character is gifted the cafe by her aunt, probably in a will. So she moves to small town, starts running the cafe, is managing to charm everybody in the town, except the hot local farmer. There will be some misunderstandings, there will be grumpy, there will be banter, and I'm here for that. That's all I know, that's all I need to know. It's basically a Hallmark movie in a book. Set in autumn. That's all I need to know. Yeah. I love a Hallmark movie, so... And I love a cheesy romance every so often, so I'm here for it. And then the last one, which the more I look at it, the more excited about this one I get. When I was actually buying the books, and they were all being... my totals rung up and everything, the bookseller actually got really excited about this one. He had read it and he said it was really good. It's one of his favourite authors. And it definitely wasn't a case of he was trying to upsell me, because it was already in my pile. And let's face it, I was already buying quite a lot of books. But that is Now She Is Witch by Kirsty Logan, and this is basically about two women, Else and Lux. Lux has kind of lost everything. She's hit rock bottom. She's lost her family, her home, her lover. Everything is burning around her, so she's now in the forest. But here's the thing. She knows how to survive in the forest. She knows her poisons. I think she's basically practicing witchcraft. She comes across Else, who Else needs someone to help her take vengeance on her lover. Or actually, it doesn't specifically say her lover, it just says the man who wronged her. So this is very much giving feminist female empowerment vibes, you know, strong women combined with witchcraft. So I'm going down the historical fantasy route, and it just sounds kind of wonderful. It sounds kind of like dark, intense, and yeah, empowering, I think is a good word for this one. But yeah, anyway, there we have it. These are all the books I bought with the book tokens that my lovely now ex-colleagues gave me. I spent a grand total of £12 because of them. So 12 books for £12. I really cannot complain. I am definitely very lucky and blessed. Yeah, tell me, have any of you read any of these? What did you think? Where do you think I should start? And in the meantime, I will see you guys in the next video.